Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about the tribes of India, which has been in news for past 1 or 2 years. So let us try to understand about the first tribes. So first tribe that we are going to discuss are the two tribes that are Chakuma and Hajong Tri. Both of these tribes reside presently in the state of Arunachal Pradesh and the other northeastern states of India. If you look at the population figure, then there are almost 47,471 population number of Chakma and Hajong tribes are living today in India as per the 2011 census. So what are the let us try to understand briefly about Chakma and Hajong tribe. So as you can see, this is the northeastern India. This is our Arunachal Pradesh. So the news is related to the decision taken by Arunachal Pradesh government regarding the Chakma and Hajong tribes. So first of all, let us try to understand what are these tribes, who are these tribes. So basically these tribes are not indigenous tribes of India, but they have actually migrated from the Chittagong Hill district or regions of Bangladesh. Earlier it was called as East Pakistan. Religion wise, Chakmas belong to the Buddhist community and reside largely in the Mizoram, Tripura, apart from Arunachal Pradesh. However, this Hajong community is a follower of Hindu religion and they reside in the Garo hills of Meghalaya. The reason why they are in news because the Arunachal Pradesh state government is trying to rehabilitate, trying to move the Chakma and Hajong tribe from Arunachal Pradesh to the other states because they fear that there are kind of racial tension and there is kind of ethnic tension that is building due to increase in the population of these tribes in the Arunachal Pradesh regions. However, the tribal members have expressed concern that it is akin to racial profiling and a clear-cut violation of Article 14 of the Constitution of India, which provides equality before law as well as equal protection of law to all the members or all the citizens of India. At the same time, the tribal members also alleged that not only does it violate the Constitution of India, but also violates Article 1 of the International Convention on the Elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. So that is about this Chakma and Hajong tribe. That is why they were in news. The second tribe we are going to study about are the Khasi tribes. Khasi tribes stay or reside in the state of Meghalaya, again a northeastern states. And the reason why these tribes made a news, come in the news is because there was issue regarding a share in the parental property to the Khatdu. Khatdu is a name or term used for the youngest daughter of the family. So let us try to understand about Khasi tribe. If you look at the regions where these tribes reside, so this is the Khasi hills. In Meghalaya we have 3 hills. In the western side we have Garo hills. In central we have the Khasi hills, and in the eastern part we have the Jaintia hills. So these Khasi tribes reside in these Khasi hills. They are kind of ancient indigenous tribe and they are believed to have the largest surviving matrilineal culture in the world. So what is matrilineal culture? Matrilineal culture refers to a system where we can say the rights and obligations of a family as well as the property of family is transferred in a female lineage. That means from mother to daughter to her daughter. That is how property, rights and obligations are transferred. However, one thing we have to keep in mind that though these tribes have a matrilineal society, they are not matriarchal in nature. So they are matrilineal but have patriarchal nature. So what does matriarchal or patriarchal means? So what it means is when we talk about any society having patriarchal structure, it means that a male member is head of the family. While if a female member is head of family, then that is called as matriarchal. So what we can say about Khasi tribes, that though the rights, property and obligations are transferred along the female line, the head of family is not a woman but a male member. And there is a very important act that governs the customs, rules and regulations of this tribal society, that is called as Khasi Social Custom Lineage Act. And as per this act, the youngest daughter of parents is the one who will receive all the properties or large part of the parental properties. That is whole issue is about. So why the people are protesting against this? Largely it is a protest that is done by the male members of the Khasi society who says that due to this kind of acts or due to this kind of practices, the status of male member has become secondary in the society. There is no security or no land available to them. They have to depend on the female members, and also they have established several different groups and societies to protect equal rights for men. That is why they are protesting against this law, and they want to change this law and change this custom so that both male members as well as female members get equal share of property while inheritance is being transferred. The third tribe which was in news is something that is called as Mankidia tribe. Mankidia tribe was news because there has been forest fire in the Simlipal Tiger Reserve in the February month of 2021, and it is the Simlipal Tiger Reserve where these tribes reside. If you look at the census figure of 2011, around 2,222 members are there who belong to the Mankidia tribe. Second, Mankidia tribe also come under the category of a particularly vulnerable tribal groups. What are particularly vulnerable tribal groups? We'll come to that later. First of all, if you try to understand what Mankidia tribes, they derive their name from a term that is called as Mankad. Mankad actually is a term that refers to monkeys. And since these tribes or tribal members are largely associated with catching the monkeys, that is why they are called as Mankidia tribe. In terms of language, they speak a Mundari language and they have a polytheistic system of belief. Polytheistic system of belief means they do not believe in any one single god, but they have multiple number of gods in which all the members do believe in. If you look at the economic status or economic activity conducted by these tribes, so they are largely, since they are living in the forest areas, engaged in hunting and food collection. Apart from that, they also gather the fruits and sell them or use them for self-consumption. And not only that, even they are participating recently in the manufacturing of ropes and baskets from the local grasses like Sabai grass, Salia grass, and then they sell them in the market for their livelihood. So these are the major economic livelihood, we can say, status of this particular tribe. So let us try to understand, since the Mankidia tribe belong to a particularly vulnerable tribal groups, what are the particularly vulnerable tribal groups? So particularly vulnerable tribal groups are a separate class of tribals that is determined on the basis of four major factors. The first factor is that those tribal groups which has a pre-agricultural level of technology. Second, they have very low level of literacy. Third, they have a clear-cut economic backwardness, not only with the mainstream society, but even if compared with their tribal peers. And fourth, they have a declining or stagnant level of population. If all these four categories of tribes are met, then they are categorized as PVTCs. And accordingly, the government of India has identified 75 PVTCs of 780 tribes that we find in India. The next tribe that was in the news is called as Munda Pota Kela tribe. Munda Pota Kela tribe are well known because they are engaged in this very interesting, we can say, activity where the members of these tribes bury their head in earth for a few minutes, and then and this practice is something that is not seen in any other kind of tribe in the India. They come under the category of Denotified Tribes. And it is believed that in earlier times they were resident of Rayalaseema region, that is a part of Andhra Pradesh, and from Rayalaseema they have migrated toward the coastal regions of Odisha. Basically, these tribes earn their livelihood by conducting a street performance. One of the most important, as we discussed before, is that they migrate or move from village to village, and the members of these tribal groups, they bury their head in the soil, and after some time they come out, and people take very interest in this kind of activities, and then in lieu of this kind of activities, this kind of performances, the people give them with the rice, wheat, and all this kind of edible items. So basically, they earn their livelihood by doing this kind of activities or any other kind of street performance as well. So as we discussed, this tribe is a denotified tribe. So what do we understand by denotified tribes? So denotified tribes are actually earlier in the 1871, when the British were ruling in India, they were classified under a special category called as Criminal Tribal Acts of 1871, and that time they were called as a criminal tribes. The reason why they were called as criminal tribes, because British policymaker at that time believed that the members belonging to certain particular tribal communities shows a very aggressive nature and have this habit of committing crimes. So that is why they are considered as criminal tribes. However, in year 1959, they were reclassified from criminal tribes to a habitual offenders category. However, UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination has asked the government of India to remove this categorization of any tribe or tribal members as a habitual offenders. So due to this, National Commission for Denotified Nomadic and Semi-Nomadic Tribes was set up in year 2003, and then these tribes were brought under the category of Denotified Tribes. That is what Denotified Tribe means. Further, the next tribe that made the headline was a Khasi tribe. Khasi tribe resides in the Karnataka regions. And why they were in news? Because the government of Karnataka has actually announced that they will actually help these tribes in certification and marketing of the products, handmade products or handicrafts that these tribes are manufacturing. As per the census 2011 figure, the total number of these tribal members is around 8,414. So what does Khasi actually means? Khasi basically in Kannada language translates roughly into a bird catcher, because these tribes are engaged in the activity of catching of birds and then they sell it later in the to the people. As per the information or as per the analysis by the anthropologist, it is believed that earlier Khasi tribals were actually a part of Kshatriya group or warrior tribal group that took part in a lot of activities and a lot of wars in the medieval time. However, later on they migrated from the northwestern India, and despite migration they have retained their language, and that is why they speak Indo-Aryan language that is called as Wagri or Wagri Buli, which is very similar to the Gujarati. That tells us also that earlier these tribes must have been residing in northern and western India, and later they have migrated to the southern India, but they retained their language. The main economic activity, how they earn their livelihood, is since they reside in the forest area, they sell a lot of herbal products, made handicraft jewelry and handicraft items, and also they are largely dependent on forest for their sustenance. One of the most important curious practice that this Khasi tribe the practices is the naming of the child. The naming of the child which is born in this particular community is done by usually whatever first word come in the mind of the parents, that is how the children are named. For example, the children are named as British, children are named as parrot, children are named as lion. Why? Because these were the first words that has came into the mind of parents after the birth. The next tribe which we have discussed about is the Korwa or Korba tribe. Korba tribe are making a headlines or have made the headline because in the 72nd edition of Man Ki Baat of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he has actually hailed a person called as Hiraman, who belongs to Jharkhand, and he has actually prepared a dictionary of the Korwa language. Korwa language dictionary is very important because this language is put under the category of extinct language. It is going to be extinct very soon. It is a kind of endangered language actually, and it is nearing extinction. So that is why it is a way of reviving or a way of protecting, preserving the Korwa language. As per the census 2011 figure, the total number of population people that belong to this particular tribe is around 200,000. If you look at the region where these tribal groups reside, so they reside at the border of two states, Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, and largely they sustain their livelihood by taking part in a special type of farming, a unique type of farming that is called as Jhunga Kheti. So Jhunga Kheti is actually a method in which the tribal groups actually cut down, or we can say trim down the forest lands, forest areas, and then they sow lentil crops in that particular land. Culturally, if you try to understand about them, they are being very fastly getting assimilated into the Hindu society. However, as of now, number of the people belonging to this particular community still believe in their own tribal god, tribal deity. So this is a kind of monotheistic type of society. The next tribe is the Limbu tribe. Limbu tribe made a headline because they have actually filed a petition or a plea in the Supreme Court of India where they had demanded reservation for them. Both Limbu tribe and one tribe, Tamang tribe, is there in the Sikkim Legislative Assembly. As per the census figure of 2011, they have a total population of slightly higher than 1 lakh. So let us try to understand about the Limbu tribe. So first of all, if you look at the areas where this Limbu tribe lives, so they are indigenous and native to the Himalayan states, that is collectively called as Limbuwan region. The Limbuwan region actually borders 3 countries, that is Nepal in the eastern side, Northeast India in the southern side, and Bhutan in the western side. So basically, we try to understand this is the border. This is the border shaded region in which this Limbu tribe resides or belong to. Socially, they are divided into several patrilineal clans, and here the head of each of the family member, each of the family is called as Subba, who is generally a returned Gurkha soldiers, and that is how their society has been structured. If you look at the main festival of Limbu tribe, it is called as Chasok Tangnam. And in terms of sustenance, they survive or sustain themselves by taking part in farming activities, largely terrace kind of cultivation, and also cattle herding, where wild water buffalo is the major cattle that is reared and protected by this particular community. Next tribe is Chakistan tribe. Chakistan tribe was in news because they have very recently celebrated their 75th anniversary of their rechristening in the fake town. Total population as per the census 2011 figure is around 1,54,874 for this Chakistan tribe. So they are actually a major indigenous group that is found in the state of Nagaland, and they occupy this, you can see the southern part of this Nagaland. In this area, the town is called as Fake Town. So this is the habitat of the, or we can say this is the residence place of the particular tribal group. Chakistan actually is a group of tribe, actually a tribe that is made up of 3 different sects. So what are these 3 different sects? We have Chokri sect, Kheja sect, and the Sangtam sect. So Chokri, Kheja, Sangtam, these collectively are called as Chakistan tribe. If you look at their religion, so they follow largely Christianity as their religion and also adhere to the Abrahamic teaching, and also they follow the path of Jesus of Nazareth. The main festival of this particular tribe is called as Suhkuriniya festival, where all these tribal members are engaged or participate in drum beating, and they do this traditional and folk dance. That is the main festival celebrated every year in the spring seasons. In terms of economic activities, these tribal people are engaged in the hunting activities. However, as hunting has been banned recently, now these tribal groups are recently taking part or sustaining their livelihood by taking participation in the terrace cultivation in the hilly areas of Fake Town of Nagaland. So that is all about the major tribes that has made the headlines in past 1 year. I hope you understood about the important points and important news about this particular tribe. That is all for today. Thank you very much.